In the old days, no one gave a truck driver the finger. They bought you coffee. They bought you lunch.
If you had to do it again, would you?
Not today.
Not today?
People had respect for you. If you broke down your road with your car, it was a truck driver that stopped and helped you. You stuck a pacemaker in me when I was 54.
What was that screw up?
I hit a freight train.
A freight train?
The windshield's gone. The steering wheel's pushing the driver's seat through the back of the cab. Well, if you're not dead, you must be really, really bad, and you'll be dead any second.
But that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to drive today. That's why there's somebody crashes on the road. You got no freedom anymore either.
Freedom, in a way, are you talking about the cameras?
Work ethic, it's just a work ethic that was pounded into us, you know? It's not, society's completely different today. Everyone's out to get you. The OPP, the RCMP, the MOT, the public, you have no friends. There's nobody standing up for you. That guy, he's from India. A year ago, he didn't know what a truck was, and now he's driving one that weighs 100,000 pounds.
It's a real story?
Oh, yeah.
So I just need 30 seconds of your time for two things. One, I want to thank everybody who watches the show and has subscribed to our channel. It does help us a lot. It's a free thing to do to subscribe or like our show, but it does help us a lot on our end. Secondly, if you have not done so far, please join the 31% of the people that come regularly to watch this show. And if you enjoy the show and you tell us that you enjoy the show, this is going to make us even do better. We do this show for the love of trucks and trucking, and we genuinely feel truckers and overall trucking industry needs a lot of attention. And we do this on our own. There is nobody involved in this show. And if you help us, we don't need anybody. And we want to thank you once again for watching and just supporting us in this journey. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Welcome to the Truck Stop Show. Today we're joined by John Parker, who has done trucking for many decades. And we'll talk to John and get to know about his journey in trucking. John, thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Tell us, how long have you trucked for?
Altogether, counting now, I retired 3 years ago, and now I'm still driving occasionally. So right now, about 55 years.
55 years.
I was 16 when I hauled my first load of steel to Winnipeg. I got my commercial license on my 16th birthday.
How did it work back then?
I turned 16 that day. We lived on a farm. I went to town. I wrote the test in Guelph here, and the guy, he says, well, you passed. And I says, well, that's good. I says, it's kind of hard for me to get back here in 30 days or 60 days, whatever it was for the beginners. I says, can I just do the test today? Because mom and dad are in town today. Oh, were you a farm kid? Yeah. Oh, he says, come back after lunch. I'll give you the test. So I did the test. I came back. And in those days, I had the chauffeur's license and the operator's license. Operator's license, drive your car. Chauffeur's license, drive anything. So I came back. He says, well, you passed. I says, well, I should have. I've been driving since I was like 8. He says, what do you want, operator's or a chauffeur's license? I said, oh, my dad said I should get a chauffeur's license. He says, okay, you got one. I think it was an extra $10, maybe $20. That was it. And I took my first little steel to Winnipeg about Christmas that year.
So that same year?
Mm-hmm. A friend of mine's dad, you're coming to Winnipeg with me in the truck. And he got a sliver in his hand the day before we left. And we got part way out there, and his hand had swelled up, couldn't touch the gear shift anymore. And he says, you drove a truck before, John? And I says, yep. Drove a Chevy pickup just last week. He says, good, you're driving this. And the steering wheel, of course, in those days were 3 feet across and no power steering. And
so how did you get the idea of getting into trucking?
I got blackmailed into it.
Tell me how.
By my buddy's dad. He just told me, you're coming with me to Winnipeg, and that was it. And then I brought the truck back and brought it back and all the way home for him because he'd gone to the hospital and had his hand lanced. And he went to his boss and said, give that kid a job. He just took that truck to Winnipeg and back in the middle of winter.
Right. Did you get paid for that load, the Winnipeg load?
Actually, I worked probably for a bit because there was a small company and the guy he didn't have a lot of money. So, okay, I didn't worry about getting paid, actually, because I've been doing a few trips and didn't get paid at all. And I figured that's just a learning experience. So I'm just a young guy, who cares, right? So
no money?
No, I didn't get paid for it.
So back then, was there no safety concern? Like, for example, if I was 16 years old and somebody asks me to come with them to Winnipeg on a truck, I think my parents would have some questions.
No, not back in the 70s. There's
no safety. What's going on with the kid?
I was always a very independent kid, and so I had drivers. I owned my own car at 16. and stuff. And I'd always worked. I'd worked on farms. We lived on a farm, and then my dad sold the farm. And then, when I was 12 and stuff, my dad was farming me out to work in farms for the whole summer.
Mm-hmm.
Got one day off the whole summer. I lived in the guy's farm and stuff. So I was always just I'm a different type.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a pretty good work ethic. So, and I never really worried about too much about the money. So
You did not.
no. I've always lived pretty well. And my son says, "Dad, you always lived like a millionaire. How come?" I says, "You know why? Because I never worried about money." I figured God will supply, and it always worked out. It worked out well. So,
Are you religious?
Not a little bit, but
Yeah.
I just never worry about stuff. It'll all work out.
But I think as a truck driver, you made good money, and that's the only thing you've done, right?
Oh, well, no. I had done a lot of different stuff over the years. I drove truck, and I'm a sucker when people come and say, John, let's invest in this. Let's do this. And I have a problem. I can't say no to anything. So I bought, in the years, I bought a restaurant, renovated into a pub and stuff like that. I built a stretch limo in Toronto, the second one in the whole city. The big joke with the cell phone companies that I have a T-shirt at home, actually, a guy made it up for me, that Eddie Van Halen, you know who Eddie Van Halen is? He stuck me for $685 in a phone bill.
Mm-hmm.
And I built, it was the second stretch of the city of Toronto. I had a car working as a limousine service airport, and this is no good. I didn't drive it. I had guys drive it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why don't you build a stretch?
But you were driving trucks at the same time?
Yep.
So the whole time you're driving trucks, but you're trying these different things at the same time.
In those days, and if I got 1 hour of sleep every 2 days, I thought I was doing good. I just burnt the wick at both ends and was always doing something.
Is that safe or not safe?
For me, it was okay because I never needed to take drugs and stuff. And I was hyperactive, really just going all the time. And you could ask anyone today, my mind is always going, right? So
what do you mean? So when you said, I never took any drugs, is drug a thing in
trucking? In those days, because there was a lot of, what they called yellow jackets, pink hearts. And it was all basically speed. They were basically women's diet pills, but that's what they were. But I never needed a cup of coffee and stuff. And driving, if I slept over the wheel for 15 minutes, I was good for 8 hours.
So you said there were pills that people took to drive?
Oh, yeah. We're not supposed to talk about this stuff. But yeah.
What, don't you want to talk about it? You want to tell people what existed back then?
Yeah, like I'm telling, No, but yeah. So I tried them once, and when I could take my hand and go over top of my arm like this and not touch it, right, and I could feel it, I thought, well, that's not a good thing. So,
John, so you worked for this the steel company, I guess, right? So you haul steel.
I did haul steel at one time.
Yeah, and no, that was your first job.
Oh, that was first job. That was actually a guy who was like a lease operator stuff, so driving service kind of thing, yeah. And the trucks weren't like they are now. The first truck I drove with that guy was a brand new Western Star rental with a 10-speed, no bunk.
What year was this?
Probably 1970.
Mm-hmm.
And then the truck I got to drive, because he went back and said, give that kid a job. And I said, I don't want no job. I go back to school, get in the truck. Get in the truck. Well, I ended up back and forth, and finally I did get in the truck. And that was a 1964 white with a 220 Cummins, a 5 and a 4 transmission. One of the very first triaxle trailers there was. Everything was still tandem.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, tandem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then what? So how long you did that for?
For that guy, I don't know, probably a year or so.
And then what did you get into afterwards?
Oh, I went out west, and I actually hauled equipment for John Deere for a dealership out there up down the west coast and stuff.
On a flatbed?
Yeah, flatbed up to Vancouver Island, all over, and some big tractors out there. So, yep, did that. I don't know, I hauled cattle for years, and eventually I ended up on hauled gravel and out in Acton and stuff, and then I ended up working for the last company, which I worked for over 40 years.
40 years.
40 years.
And what were you hauling there?
Oil, big tankers.
Big tankers?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yep.
So why did you manage to stick at the same company for 40 years?
Well, first of all, I didn't have time to look for another job because it was boom, 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 right?
A lot of work?
Keep going.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It paid all right. And like I said, I didn't really worry about the money, but I'm kind of a guy who is loyal, right? And the only time I ever left a job if I got either they went out of business or I maybe screwed up, which is not very often. I can even only screwed up maybe once. And
What was that screw up?
oh, that was a small one. I hit a freight train.
A freight train?
Yep. I was hauling salt out of Godrich, and I actually wasn't even supposed to be working that day. I'd come back from hauling salt out of Godrich all week in a day cab, lived in the truck all week, hauling salt back in the dump truck days. Came back down, and 3 or 4 guys are getting trucks ready for the next day. And I said, "Where are you going?" That was Friday night. "Oh, we're going up to Godrich." "What?" "I'm going too." And I just took the truck and went up and came back down, and we loaded. We coming back down through Listowel, heading to the airport actually, and coming down through Listowel on the main road, there was a bridge that was getting weak, so they didn't want the tractor trailers going through. And then there was 2 tracks at that time. One went, you had to go to the side street, and one went across straight. The other one came at an angle, and there was 3 houses. The other guys went flying through. I went, something's not right. I was nervous and looked down this way. I could see good. The next track, I can see to the left good, but I'm trying to look around these houses and, oh, look at that. Big, giant red nose or orange nose. And oh my gosh, what do I do? So the track was on an angle, road was like this. I'll turn the truck like this. And I go, no, you'll hit it head on. Go this, turn the other way. So I turned the other way. And what do you do? So I stood in the brakes, cranked the wheel as hard as I could. And I said, well, what do you do now? Close your eyes.
Well, you black out anyway. You
So
don't have to close your eyes.
okay, well, I said, okay. Yeah, only hurt for a second. You'll be dead. It'll only take maybe a second. You'll be dead. It won't hurt much. And then everything went quiet. And I went, oh, well, maybe they got the train stopped. Maybe I got stopped. Or maybe we both got stopped. All of a sudden, crash right on the passenger door. And he pushed the truck around over sideways. And it was just crash, 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 crash. And I went, so I just kept sitting there. Okay, any second, it's all going to be over. And then everything went quiet. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, all right, that didn't hurt much. I thought it hurt to get killed. It never hurt nothing. So I said, well, I better open my eyes, see what it looks like to be dead. So I'm looking around. I open my eyes, and here I am sitting down with the 2 seats. It's an RML Mac with a twin stick. And I'm sitting with the 2 gear shifts between my legs. The transmission is coming through the floor. The windshield's gone. Hitting the passenger side, but the driver's door disappeared. The steering wheel's pushing the driver's seat out through the back of the cab, and I get knocked in a boxcar. Okay, well, you must be. I went, oh, didn't hurt much. Like, kind of like, well, if you're not dead, you must be really, really bad, and you'll be dead any second. So I sat there, and nothing happened. So finally, I climbed over top of the steering column, jumped out of the truck, and looked. The front axle was gone. The hood was in 1,000 pieces, and like this, nothing.
You were making sure that you're alive?
So then I looked up the trailer and I go, oh man, I didn't tarp that load of salt. They're going to nail me for that. So actually, after all that, I climbed on top of the tarp and those big rubber tarps and rolled them back.
Were you charged?
Hmm?
Were you charged? Did you get a ticket for that?
Well, of course. And so what happened was I got charged and went to court and everything. And actually, the engineer and the brakeman came back to me because we were across the other intersection. And they says, oh, you did a good job. I did? He says, how much that truck weigh? I says, well, it's well over 100,000. He says, lady hit us here 2 weeks ago and she derailed the engine. You only bent the rung on her ladder. So anyway, I went to court. They charge you with Keros when you hit a truck or a train automatically. So I went to court and I beat it.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Good. John, did you have good life as a truck driver?
Yep. I can't complain.
If you had to do it again, would you?
Not today.
Not today?
Not the way it is today. Back then, it was nice. People had respect for you. If you broke down your road with your car, it was a truck driver that stopped and helped you.
Mm-hmm.
Other drivers, if you broke down with a truck, another truck driver would help and stop. They stopped and helped me. My son, he's only 28, and because we didn't have kids for years, and he goes, well, Dad, and he drives actually, and he goes, well,
he's a driver?
Yeah, actually, he has an A license and everything. He has a water treatment plant license as well.
He drives a truck?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So he says, well, how did you do it back in the old days? If you broke down the road, how did you get help? You didn't have cell phones or nothing. And you know what? I says, I just figured it out. You got it back to where you had to get it, right? And it had to be pretty bad before you couldn't. So, yeah, it was a lot different.
So, no, John, so you said with a very sad face that if I had to, like today, you would not truck.
Yeah.
And like if you truck for 50 years, I think it becomes you. It becomes part of your life.
But I wouldn't start. I wouldn't. If I had to do it all over again, I would have if it was like it used to be. But now in the last 10 years or more,
Hang on. So you said last 10 years. So you
Yeah.
only got off in the past 3 years off the road, right?
yeah,
So those 7 years you spent on the road, what's going on these days?
just got worse and worse and worse.
Explain to me, what do you mean by worst?
No courtesy. Cars, everywhere. People in cars, I mean, they pass you, and they'll pass you and then pull on the side because you're a big truck and you're maybe holding them up a little bit or something and slam and then pull over and just all of a sudden slam the brakes on. They're going to, brake check you. Like, oh my gosh. And that happens a lot. I mean, they never cut you off and you get the finger all the time. That in the old days, no one gave a truck driver the finger. They bought you coffee. They bought you lunch. No, not anymore.
Okay, well, what you're comparing two things, and there's a massive difference.
I'm 50 years gone. Like, you got to remember, I'm thinking I started over 50 years ago. And that's when the people had respect for trucks. Weren't as fast either. And
no, like I can't get my head around this. So what happened? What happened to the society?
What happened to society? Well, first of all, a lot of it was government and a lot of it was media. Started off back in the 70s, back in the 80s, early 80s. The reporters in the newspapers and stuff, if there was an accident, they would report, oh, a big crash, a truck and a car had an accident. And this is what they put in the paper, and this is what it say, truck. Then you check and find out it's a pickup truck. So people go, wow, these truck drivers are they're smashing up everything. But so I wrote them and told them to the editor, letters to the editor and stuff, like, quit calling. If a guy hits a car in a pickup, don't say it's a truck, because people automatically, when you say truck, they think tractor trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So then, and then people are starting to get reading the media and stuff, and it's starting to get bad attitude towards it because they're all hearing all these crashes these truck drivers are having, but they weren't tractor trailers. So that's when
I think
it started.
you point the finger in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I think overall, so there's a saying in English. It is said that he who controls media controls people's minds.
Exactly.
So now, if the media, I don't think media knows anything about trucks anyway, right? So,
No.
truck drivers do have a very not so positive image. And when there's an accident and then there's a truck involved, almost always, the fingers are pointing towards the truck driver. Even though people don't realize that truck drivers are professional. They do this for life. They do this for living, and roads are their workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't keep it safe, who else is gonna? So for the most part, majority of truck drivers do their part to, save other people. But when there's an accident, it's always a finger towards the truck driver. I think I never talked about this, but I think you were talking about something that does make sense. That it's the media.
That's when it started.
Mm-hmm.
Then the media started this, and I recognized it. Most people didn't recognize that, but I did, and so I did write some letters and stuff about it. And but then the government started we've got a shortage of truck drivers and stuff, like in the last 20 years or so, and they bring people from India and bring them over and write. I've got the guy I work for now part-time. He has 3 Sikh guys work for them. He's been in the country 2 years. All 3 guys have A licenses.
Right. Only been in the country for 2 years?
And they all have. How long did you take to get your license? Oh, got a day and a half. They won't let them drive anything, but they have A licenses. And I mean, they're very respectful to me. And,
But that's dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I don't want to drive today. That's why there's so many crashes on the road. And it's just I don't know, people are all programmed down this country and stuff. And you're not allowed to say anything like that. So
I think you should say what you think, because if you don't say, for example, that whole, the media thing you talked about. So basically, I wish there was some sort of study on how truck drivers were respected before and what is the image today. But I can't find any studies on that. But I mean, I think if truck drivers had stood up for themselves collectively and sort of put a pause on this thing, or at least tell these media outlets to not do this, or even all these big associations and so-called the groups that represent truckers
Yeah.
have done something for the reputation of truck drivers, we wouldn't be where we are today, I think.
No, like I said, back in the old days, they were the most respected group on the road. We're in trouble. That's who was going to help. None of that happens anymore. And then we get down the road. Every time you see a crash, who's standing beside the truck? It seems most of the time, majority of the time, right?
Mhm.
And that's why. And then the other thing is, downfall. The last company I worked for, right? They gave me an automatic truck. The last truck. That truck didn't even have a trailer spike on it.
It did not?
No trailer spike. Peterbilt. And I go, what is this? There's no trailer spike. Oh, that's just all these. Well, we got ABS brakes. Excuse me. I don't even like automatics because I held tankers for years and have no control. You did a lot of the stuff you did was with a gear shift. Slowed down, back off, hold things off. You could count when you shifted gears. You took off with a load of a tanker and you go 1, 2, 3, and then let off for a bit and the wave would come up, just a gentle wave, and away you went, right? Can't do that with an automatic.
Mhm.
You get stuck in snow, and then the trucks degrade with the wheel spin. I ran north most of the time. I was stuck a lot because why? Because
John, what can we do to bring back that respect?
Stop letting these schools and stuff and stop pumping up, giving guys licenses, make them actually do it, right? No, I never went to driving school. Nothing.
Right.
But I drove a tractor, truck. I drove a Massey Ferguson, and stuff. But kids, I think kids nowadays, more young people nowadays. First of all, a lot of people don't want young guys, especially white guys, don't want to work that hard anymore. They don't want the job like that. They don't want to work 14 hours a day, and they don't want to sleep in a truck. They want to be home with mama. They want to play their video games and stuff like that. But I do find when I was in Brampton, I know lots and lots of Indian people. You know what? I always found every one of them wanted to drive a truck. Well, why is everybody want to drive a truck?
So the locals don't want to drive the truck. That is why we have the immigrants coming in driving trucks.
I think so.
Now, so in other words, you're saying the locals do not work hard enough. That is why these other people are coming in and taking jobs and working hard?
They just don't want to do that type of work.
Right. Who?
Caucasians.
The Caucasian. They don't want to?
Not really. They just want there are some guys who are like old souls, and they don't mind the big hours and stuff, and they like the mechanic stuff and the adventure. You got to remember, like truck drivers, if they were born 200 years ago and lived down south, they were the cowboys. They were the guys that herd cattle, doing the big when they herded cattle across the country when there was no cattle trucks or trains.
Mhm.
These guys that drive trucks, that's what they would have been in a past life. They would have been a cowboy.
Mhm. Taking livestock from
Yeah, well,
point A
they've
to
been
point
moving
B.
stuff. They're the guys that did the Pony Express and delivered the mail, and then they hauled. You'd be driving a wagon with a big team on it and cross country hauling whatever.
Mhm.
They were basically what they would have been in a past life would have been a cowboy.
Mhm. Let me rephrase my question, John.
Mm.
Can truck drivers bring back their respect on the road? Is it possible at this point?
Pretty tough. People are indoctrinated, and there's been so much crap on the road and stuff. Governing the trucks all at the same speed. Okay, I can understand. No, when I pass somebody with me, if someone was trying to pass me, I always just let off, let them go. Other guys, they will not let off. And they sit there and they got the elephant race going for miles and miles, and that pisses the public off.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. And then you got guys using, dumping pee bottles over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever remember seeing that years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot less drivers and a lot less trucks, but I never seen any of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the trucks and the elephant races happen. Why? Because one guy's got he's going a little faster because his tires are a little newer. He's got a little bit more rubber, and it gives him that little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But govern everything for the same speed.
Has the volume of traffic gone up, John, over the years?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The 401, especially the 401. That's the busiest 4-lane or interstate highway, you might as well call it, in North America.
Right.
I mean, I've been to LA in the middle of the night, and where's all the traffic? 401. 24 hours a day, stressing at night. It's bumper to bumper truck.
Mm-hmm.
That's nowhere.
Now, if the volume of traffic has gone up, that could be the reason too that the truck drivers are just because there's more people present on the road.
Yeah.
And of course, trucks are big and slow. That might be the reason, truck drivers are not getting the respect they deserve.
There's a way more volume, but when there's such a gap between cars and stuff and their speeds, when trucks weren't all governed, I don't want not truck guys running 100 mile an hour because there were guys doing that.
They only got governed, by the way, in 2009.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I know, and but they still don't govern in most of the states. And things are better.
You mean in Canada or the U.S.?
The U.S.
Well, U.S. I don't think they.
No, no, but here.
And it's Quebec, I think BC and Ontario for sure.
Yeah. Ontario. Yeah. So that holds things up. That didn't help. But so trucks run at a different speed. I can understand, because the speed limit's 100 kilometers per hour. Some places 110. So if the truck was geared like on the 401, most of it's 100. So you had the trucks geared so they do 110. Guys run the speed limit because now guys are holding back because of cameras in the trucks and the governors, and they're over. I don't know. Truck drivers are just you got no freedom anymore either. Yeah. Right. Everyone's watching and companies.
Freedom in a way. Are you talking about the cameras?
Oh yeah, guys. But companies put cameras inside the trucks.
What is your opinion about cameras?
I believe the law and people. The law in Canada actually is from a court in Quebec, if I'm right, said that they cannot put a camera inside your cab pointing at unless the driver wants it.
Right.
In the U.S. they can, but if the guys want to fight it here,
they can't fight it.
They can fight it because I know the Quebec court ruled against them and said only if the driver will accept it. But they stick them. Guys don't know.
So as a truck driver, in the cab, you don't want anybody to see. It's your personal space, isn't it?
That's right. It's an invasion of privacy. Perfect invasion of privacy and stuff.
Sadly, there's money involved in this because the insurance companies would tell you to do this, and then the companies would do it so they can save some money, right?
Yeah. You look it up, you'll see that the Quebec court ruled that no, only if the driver says so. But in the U.S.,
maybe we should check this. You want to check it out? If there's a law about.
Yeah, it was courts in Quebec.
Because it is such a private space, it
is because there's an invasion of privacy and stuff, right? So that is bad. I just want to take too much advantage of you. Like there's no freedom anymore. When I first started, you just did it, right?
So everything is happening in the name of safety.
Oh, yeah.
Everything is happening in the name of safety. It's almost like you're trying to do things better, but I guess.
And then truck drivers screwed themselves. Like in the States when they brought the e-logs in, they were doing interviews with guys, long haul drivers, and some guys are real cowboys. Oh yeah, I drove from California to New York City non-stop, blah blah blah. Like really? Shut up. And it was.
Don't tell me what you do.
Right. So it was Obama that brought that law in.
Yeah.
And because we go see these guys, and. Look at that. They're all driving across the country, not stopping and stuff. And
so, John, what is it? So, Mr. Producer, what is it?
So it says, forward-facing is much easier to legally justify. The inward-facing camera is controversial, but it may still be allowed. But it has to be for safety events. So if there's hard brake, it can be triggered, basically.
So there isn't
not constantly monitoring, but if you brake hard or things like that, it's more easy to justify.
But the ones I've seen, they are constantly looking at you.
Oh, yeah, and the ones I were looking at the law, and where I found it was the Supreme Court of Quebec, and I think it was the Supreme Court. They ruled that you could put him in the trucks only if the driver said he was agreeable to it. Right. This is invasion of privacy. But
they're recording your farts.
I was always the guy that looked up all this stuff. So you got to be a businessman. You got to be a lawyer. Basically, you got to be a lawyer. Right, you got to know all this, and all the stuff you're supposed to know. Especially with the last job we were an environmental company, and you know how much stuff that we had to go through, right?
Yeah,
manifesting and that, and everything was nonstop, and you never knew exactly what you were picking up and stuff. So, but you have mechanical ability first of all, and a lawyer, basically a lawyer. You got to be a paralegal, look after your stuff. Yep. So. And not require a whole lot of sleep. Even if, with the e-logs, you're supposed to sleep, but you know what? The e-logs, okay, got to stop. Oh, can't sleep. Then an hour. Oh.
Hang on a second. So sleep an average adult needs somewhere around 7 hours of sleep in a night, right?
Supposedly.
Supposedly, right. Now, and like if you don't work with the cycle, that's another thing. Like if you don't sleep in the night hours and, let's say you don't respect the night and go to bed, it can really harm your health. But my question is, how many people know this? Now, and then there's truck drivers that are actually making these, promoting stuff like, oh, drive at nighttime, one. Secondly, oh, I don't need to sleep kind of thing, right? And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of things involved.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want to talk about it, like energy drinks and whatnot,
No,
right?
I never did that.
Yeah.
But even today, I mean, I'm retired basically 3 hours a night.
3 hours a night?
If I sleep more than that, then I'm tired.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I've always been like that. So this E-log stuff was like, oh, I can't do it.
So now you're telling me that you just don't get.
That's why I did all this other stuff, because I was always going. If I wasn't driving, then I was often doing, remodeling. I bought a lot of houses. I used to remodel houses, so I'd drive truck all week and come home, and I'd be renovating a house someplace and go off. I'd buy 2 or 3 houses a year usually. I had a cottage at Southampton. I had a boat. I tried to do everything.
You are a millionaire. I think your son is right.
I do all right. But yeah, but I don't know, you just gotta be the proper mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take guys out of driving school. The only time trucks get guys are safer, it was the older guys that have been driving for years. Because you know what? When it comes to an accident and stuff, you get yourself in a predicament. It gets slippery. You hit black ice and stuff. Well, after you've been driving for 10 years or more, or 20 years, you have body memory.
Mm-hmm.
You when something happens, you just react. You don't even know you're doing it. You just react because that's you've gone through it before, and your body just actually just reacts.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. And then
So you never had any formal training with trucks, but you did fine. Like all these miles, you did safely, right?
Yeah.
But then there's people that go through these schools nowadays and with these systems, yet they're causing problems. Who's gonna find the problem here?
Back in the old days, a lot of the guys driving trucks were rural kids, farm kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they already had a knowledge of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a big deal.
It is a big deal. I agree.
And then you have people from India who really, they have trucks in India, but not like what we have here.
No, the infrastructure is not, yeah.
Right? And most of them never drove a truck or anything. Mm-hmm. And then they come here, they take this, they get their, what was their?
The MELT course?
They take this course. Well, I know as one of the reporters in Toronto, she's, what was her name? Can't think of it now, but she took the course in Mississauga. She went there and she says, well, I went there one day, I gave them $500 and now I'm a Class A driver. Right? I can't think of her name now, but she's did now. But yeah, she said one day, $500 and I got a Class A license.
So John, is this ever going to get better or no?
Not likely.
Yeah.
Not that in my lifetime.
Is trucking a difficult career?
They're going to, pardon?
Is it difficult? Like, is it in terms of job?
Yeah, it's hard on you.
Mm-hmm.
I stuck a pacemaker in me when I was 54 and never had a heart attack or nothing. Just, I guess I don't have real electrical current to me. But the cardiologists and all that, you're safer to drive than some of smoke cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. Did you smoke cigarettes?
No, never smoked. I'd have a drink, maybe someone, I'd sit down. To me, to sit down myself and have a bottle of beer or something never happens. I only drink someone around social, I'll drink, but that's, I would drink with them, but that's it.
And where did you get that from?
Never. Where did I get that from?
Yeah.
Not drinking and smoking?
Because, a lot of truck drivers smoke. You know this.
Oh, they all smoked.
Yeah, smoke and drink coffee.
And most of them are dead. Or they've had heart attacks and stuff like that. A lot of my buddies have just...
Were you health conscious? Is that why you didn't do it?
No, not really, no.
You just weren't attractive to these things?
No, I never... I figured there's better places to spend your money. And I remember all these guys when I was younger, when cigarettes get to $1, I'm going to quit smoking. And now whether like $23 a pack or something.
They're very expensive in Canada.
Yeah, when it gets to $1, I'm quit smoking.
Yeah.
No, never smoked.
But were you health conscious? Like as a truck, it takes a lot for a truck driver to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Because one, you don't have good food. Secondly, you're sitting for a long time.
It was easier in the old days. There were a lot more truck stops. Just mom and pop places everywhere you went. There was mom and pop places. There was out the west. You come into Manitoba, there's the Sisters, and then you know, all kinds of them all over the place. There were just small places, and they all home cooked meals and stuff, right? Not now. There was no McDonald's and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The service centers on the 401, they were called Voyagers, and you went in. There were sit down restaurants that served like real food, and then later on, McDonald's and that took over, and then Tim Hortons and stuff, right? So how can you eat going up and down the road, and that's all there's left?
Mm-hmm.
The fifth wheels are all big fifth wheel
gone?
trucks. They're all
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
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 all
I
the-
remember those things. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, I remember the guy that started, who was a farmer, by the way. So
Yeah. There we go. So you got a lot of love for farmers.
well, I just know a lot of just I don't know, just yeah, the guy that started that was a farmer and stuff, and then they built like I guess 5 or so of them anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
but most of them are gone. The Huskies, well, there's none around here. Well, yeah, there's one in London, I guess. I've been in there for a long time. But.
Yeah. John, what about the mental health? Do truck drivers suffer with mental health?
They're stressed. Just the business is just pure stress anyway. You're always working on stress. I mean, every second you're waiting, you're on edge all the time. I mean, you're looking both ways. You're looking this way. You know, even I drive a car, I still always scanning and always looking for if something happens. You're always looking for where am I going? If something happens in the next 10 seconds, where am I going to escape to?
Mm-hmm.
So I was always looking for an escape route. That's all stress all the time, right? You're looking in the mirrors. You don't know what this guy's coming up behind you is doing. It's stress.
Right.
So it's actually luckily there's not more heart attacks in the road. But once you get up to guys in my age, over 70, there's not a lot of the guys driving anymore.
Yeah. It's hard to maintain the license, I know.
At 50 years old, there's a lot of guys that have had heart attacks and stuff, you know,
Mhm.
because that's about it. And for myself, I just was of the, just the way my system worked. That's all.
Mhm. And you let your son go into trucking, John?
Well, my son was very smart and went through high school and never studied, went to law school to be a lawyer, and I warned him before he went. I says, he went to a right-wing school. He went to a country high school stuff, country schools, all farmers and stuff. And I said, when you go to university, you're going to get a rude awakening. Well, he did. He went to Laurentian and going to take criminal law. And he's a black belt in karate, also has grade 8 piano, taught himself to play the guitar, can paint. He's quite the kid. And I got there, and he got a bit of a rude awakening. He was in co-ed dorms and stuff. That was fine, but he was told, you can't do this, you can't do that. That's for First Nations. This is only for women, this and this and this. And so then I guess he got in a little trouble one year. That first year, one of the girls was screaming for help, and he was a black belt. And he went out and helped her, hit the guy once. All the girls in the dorm turned on him. You're evil. You're evil. But she was screaming for help. He was beating her up. Well. But you know, what the heck? Well, you shouldn't have hit him. You know, shouldn't have hit him.
That's the standard these days. Yeah.
So, yeah, and then the second year is in sociology class. They must have been talking about women's rights. There was 10 guys in the class of maybe 400 or 500. And the professor, I guess you're talking about women's rights. And she stood up and pointed at the 10 guys and told them, you're nothing but white male privilege trash. Then all the girls turned on him. He called me on coming home. I said, no, you're spending a year. You're staying there. And then he came in and went to University of Guelph and thought it might be different. They had a bit of a law course there, but not what he was supposed to be going for. And he walked out. But meanwhile, he's in university. He went and got an A license in Sudbury, paid the $8,000 in his own pocket. And I never paid for anything. I never paid for his university. He always had a job. He worked when he was 11. So, yeah. So he got his A license, and then he came back, and anyway, he ended up driving a truck because he had the A license. And
So he drives right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's his full-time job?
Yeah. Right now. It's
So how did you feel when you got to know that he's getting into trucking?
That's fine, because he also went and got a water treatment plant license and stuff. So he can wastewater treatment plant license, and where he works, he's not working the water plant because he's driving truck, but his license on the wall is the highest one they got. So
no, my question is, the reason I asked this question is your image of trucking in modern days is not the best.
Nope.
But your son is on the road.
Yep. He has a steady run and stuff, and he hauls trains. Actually, back a set of trains up better than I ever could. So I'll tell him that. But yeah. No, he makes good money, so he's
Mhm.
working. The company
Right.
pays big bucks and
Mhm.
stuff.
John, what advice you would have for younger guys nowadays on the road?
I always tell the guys, before you do anything, before you turn a pump on, before you do anything, after you get everything hooked up, walk around, check what you're doing, and then think, what will happen if I turn this switch on?
Mhm.
If I undo this hose, what might happen, right? Always make sure you do it. So get on the road. Just make sure you do your safety, do proper pre-trips and stuff, which most guys don't seem to know how to do.
So you have no proper training, but you do understand the importance of pre-trip.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
You
And
know, like a whole bunch of people go through proper training, yet they don't understand why it is so important to do a pre-trip.
I wasn't like old guys aren't like these newer drivers. If a rear end went over a truck or a power divider and stuff, you pulled it over and you got a power divider and you replace it yourself.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I knew how to set brakes and
Mhm.
stuff, and there was no automatic brake
Mhm.
slack adjusters and
Mhm.
stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just the guys that got to. I don't know.
John, what's the most strange thing you've seen on the road over the years in 50 years?
Strangest thing?
Yes, you know, truck drivers see a lot of things on the road.
Hmm.
Basically, I'm asking for a story right now.
You want a story?
I do want a story, but I want a good story.
Just thinking. I wish I didn't. Boy, this is tough.
Tough? Why are you trying? Are you having a hard time picking one?
Yeah.
Because you got so many.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember once I loading cattle in Medicine Hat, Alberta, and one jumped out of the managed to get over the side of the loading chute, took off. It was about 600-pounder, and ended up running through Medicine Hat, Alberta, with I was one of the few cattle haulers that could throw a lariat, like
Mhm.
throw a rope,
Yeah.
running down chasing his cattle beasts down the street. Then the cops came and I got in the cruiser with them. Then they wanted to bring the guy with the motorcycle out, and he says, "No, I'm not chasing cows. I chased one last week." And like I got him up on a hill, and there was a power hydro vault, like the big transformer with a fence around it, and a
Mhm.
and a van here, and this cattle beast caught between the two of them, and I'm standing there, and so it's looking at that, and looking at me, and then it decided to run towards the fence and bounced off it, and I ran over and tied its feet up, but I don't know, I just left it there.
Left it there.
Yeah. But stuff like, I mean, I can't just pick out one. It's
Yeah.
just really
Yeah.
so much.
John, you married, right?
Yeah.
How many times?
Once.
How does a truck driver get to live with the same person?
Well, because that's what I said. I never quit a job or nothing. So, you do this, you're committed. Okay, well, it's just the way you do it.
John, do you not know that truck drivers have serious problems maintaining a family?
Yeah.
They do.
But most of my friends that all married the same woman. All the guys I worked with over the years.
So what's about
There's
these
only a
old
couple
guys? They truck hard, still manage to keep the family, at the same time still manage to keep a good health.
Work ethic. It's just a work ethic. People was pounded into us. It's not. Society's completely different today. It's not like it when we were young.
I feel your parents didn't care for you. They let you go at the age of 16 to Manitoba.
I just go. Hi, Mom. I'm going to British Columbia today. Goodbye, and hop in my car and go.
Really?
I worked at a logging camp too. Worked at logging camps at West, and then I ended up driving for John Deere. I worked at a butcher shop for a while. I just did whatever had to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I slept in the bush for a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Young guys don't normally do that.
Then I got some questions for you.
All right.
Air horn or engine brake?
Air horn or engine brake?
Yeah, pick one.
Engine brake.
GPS or paper maps?
I'm old school. GPS is nice, but I always liked the paper map.
Day driving or night driving?
Night driving.
Sleep at home or in the truck?
The truth? The truck.
Okay, what about it? Why do people love sleeping in the truck so much?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, first, once in a while, I run teams sometimes, and I never had. As long as you can trust that guy behind the wheel, because that's what you're doing. You're putting your life in your hand.
Yeah.
And I slept good. I slept good in the truck.
What's your favorite season to drive in?
Tell you the truth. I kind of like the winter.
You like the winter?
Yeah.
John, get out of here. I'm done with this show.
I just enjoyed when I ran north. So I was
In the wintertime?
I was in a lot of whiteouts and stuff, and it seemed on the CB radio, it's whiteout and you can barely see, but it's little tricks you learn, the little tricks and stuff.
What are those tricks? Tell younger truck drivers.
Well, in the States, it's nice. They put out stickers, posts every so many yards and stuff, but not in Canada. You just drive down the road and you relax, and Polaroid sunglasses. Always have a good pair of Polaroids with you.
There we go.
And
okay, what else?
Because Polaroid glass, you can, the most probably in like fog and snow, it's the glare.
Mm-hmm.
Polaroid glass, you can see far enough of that storm lots of times. You can that you would never see that truck or car ahead of you, but there it is. Always scan. Like you're there and you go, oh boy. Sometimes it gets pretty scary. Sometimes you go, and then you see a blade of grass sticking up or something, right? Okay, it's grass there. That means there's a shoulder. Wait, we go this way a little bit. But I know, and it always seemed like coming down, especially between Perry Sound and down to Wabashing. I run that section a lot over the years. And that was, you could be at the Wabashing truck stop, look at this door, it's white out this side, the sun's shining. And every time I was a white out, no matter where it was, it always seemed I was the guy in front. The guys at CB, like, see some tracks. And I go, oh, my tracks. Just follow the tracks, but follow me, I'll get you through it, right? Always did, never.
Right.
The biggest problem with accidents too, people are, if you're afraid,
you're
nervous,
more likely to.
You're going to crash.
Yeah, you're more likely to crash.
You're nervous. You're going to jump the brakes.
Yeah.
Me, I was always never. Just was always relaxed and whatever happened. And like a lot of it's body. Like I told you before, it's body memory.
Right. What's your favorite snack as driving?
Something that was easy. Granola bars and stuff. I had them.
Okay. And what's the biggest myth about truck drivers?
The biggest myth about truck drivers? Biggest myth. That they're dumb. A lot of guys.
You think that this is a myth out there?
That's a myth. That we're dumb? Yeah, it's a myth.
I know it's a myth, but is it out there?
Oh yeah. Sure there is.
People think truck drivers are dumb. I think they're the smartest people.
Well, no.
Well, they can, they're like, they can find you can find their way. They can stay safe on the road. They can safely sleep on the road.
You're just a dumb truck driver. That's what people think. It's low. I mean, no one has respect for you anymore.
Even back then, people thought you were dumb.
They relied you on if they were in trouble because there was no cell phones, no nothing, right? And you could freeze to death real fast, especially in the north.
Is there educated truck drivers out there?
Oh, yeah. I know guys who are engineers and stuff, and from Toronto and that. And they used to be engineers and build planes and stuff and all that kind of stuff. So
they were driving trucks.
They were driving truck.
The majority of them, is it true that they have no formal education or little formal education?
Yeah, most of them. I know several guys that have university degrees and stuff and are driving truck. Why? Because they can make more money doing that than what they are, and if you're willing to put the hours in. It's like my son has a water treatment plant license. Well, you work in the water treatment plant, he gets paid more money an hour, but he makes more money driving the truck. So You drink coffee a lot, John, as a truck driver?
I did. What's your favorite highway to drive on?
Oh, Trans-Canada, west of Winnipeg.
West of Winnipeg?
Yeah. Or
what's so beautiful about
the
that?
Yellowhead. I don't know. It's just straight and you just go.
Yeah. Have you been to all the states in the U.S.?
Yeah. I've been everywhere. The only place I haven't been is Newfoundland.
You have not been to Newfoundland?
Not been to Newfoundland. I've been to the Yukon. I've been to the territories. I've been to Alaska. I've been to Mexico. And I've been to...
You took a load into Alaska?
Yeah.
Which
that's way back, and the road wasn't completely paved yet.
So no Alaska Highway back then?
Well, there was Alaska Highway, but it wasn't totally paved
and
yet.
And what time of the year that was?
I think it was summer.
That would be beautiful over there.
Yeah, so it was a long time ago. Yeah, they hauled a John Deere tractor up there. So,
John, my last question to you is: why should somebody get into trucking?
Only if you want to make decent money. If you want to make decent money. Other than that, there isn't any real incentive anymore. What is the incentive?
You're very pessimistic about it.
I'm not, because everyone's out to, excuse me, but you know what? Everyone's out to get you. The OPP, the RCMP, the MOT, the public. You have no friends. There's nobody standing up for you.
Do you feel bad for the people who are driving trucks out there right now?
For a lot of guys, yeah. And a lot of guys I don't understand because you know what? I mean, I came back from I brought an old car back from the west there a year or so ago, watching these guys that tried, and I went in and they were all Indian guys, and big storm coming, and I'm going, you know, I looked at them and I actually told them, I says, you know what are you, how old are you? Like, you're like 18. You guys are running together. I says, you know what? You guys are going to die. You guys are going to be dead. Like, I know how you guys drive. Because even coming back, I went out west on number 11 just because I knew I was going to be dragging a trailer back, and it had been years since I was up there, and I just wanted to see how much it had changed. And twice at night, tractor trailers came across the road, put me over onto the shoulder and almost in a ditch with my pickup. Twice. And oh yeah, they also follow like 10 feet apart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's with that, right? So, I mean,
don't they call you out racist? Don't they say you're racist when you approach them like that?
see,
No,
they
it's
don't.
Well, a lot of people, like a lot of people would just keep their mouth shut. But I'm so glad you're going up to them and telling them at least.
I would told because I just was frustrated. I mean, like, holy man! Seeing how the yard it was and how they went into the fuel docks. As when I used to truck here, we used to come in the other way. You could have 15 trucks back. There was at the Husky. You guys are going in this driveway, and there's only 2 trucks in park. You got trucks back down the road because you all get fuel here, and it was just like, oh, what's wrong with these people?
So, this is very frustrating to me. Okay, I truck for 10 years, right?
Yeah, I know.
More than probably and I truck at a very young age.
Yeah.
But I always had people, your generation, around me. And these people are mean, but they'll tell you the right thing. Here's the thing. They're not pleasant all the time, but what they'll tell you would have some meaning behind it. And if you don't listen to them, you're probably going to... And you know what? I listened to them. And that never did any damage to anything. But now, myself, when I see a whole bunch of these people, I don't want to use the word immigrant, but that some of the things they do on the road are very questionable. Like, it makes my heart sink that, you belong to somebody too. You're somebody's kid.
Yeah.
You're somebody's brother and sister.
Exactly.
I mean, sure, okay, so you're selfish, you don't care for somebody else. But don't you care for yourself?
I know. But you look at going down to 401 and see and look at the crashes on the roads. Who's involved? Maybe not 100% of the time, but I mean, I stopped once coming back and came east from Montreal and just past Wooler Hill, and 2 trucks went off the road, one on this side, one on that side. And I was actually one of the very first trucks there, and actually it was on a bit of a hill, and it was so slippery that I actually got a truck and was talking to the guy beside me and looked over, and I see my truck was sliding down the road a bit. So I got some methyl hydrate and dumped around the tires, and that stopped, melted the ice. But the guy said, the cop said, see that guy? He's from Russia. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and he has an open bottle of vodka beside him. That guy, he's from India. A year ago, he didn't know what a truck was, and now he's driving one that weighs 100,000 pounds.
It's a real story?
Oh, yeah. That was the OPP.
Wow.
Told me that. He said, they arrested the guy from Russia.
Wow.
So
anyway, John, you know what? I want to continue on, but I have to. I don't want a 2-hour show here. You
ask the questions, I will give you answers. Maybe some of you don't like, but
no, I love.
And I'm a little hesitant.
I think I was actually looking for a guy like you. If you don't talk about your problems, or you're never gonna fix them. So the first thing is you need to talk about them. You talk about them. Like, that's the whole reason we do the show. So we talk about problems, and someday somebody listens to them, and then hopefully they'll go out and look for a solution, right? So hopefully we fix problems and bring back the respect.
The biggest
for
problem
drivers.
right now is basically that causes all the crashes is the federal government and immigration laws and stuff. Point blank, that's it, right? So, I mean, people curse Trump, but he's cut back his immigration to 50,000 people a year. We're still bringing in basically the population of Kitchener-Waterloo every year. Where are they going to live? I guess they've stopped building houses in Kitchener-Waterloo because they haven't got enough water.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that, right? So, country's
Yeah.
crazy.
True.
All right, sorry.
Thank you, John. No, you don't have to be sorry. You don't have to be sorry for telling the truth or at least, posing your opinion. stating your opinion. So everybody has their own opinion.
I just hope Kearney doesn't send the RSMP to my door. So,
I think you're in safe hands. I think you have the right to speak. So thank you, John, for being here. I appreciate this time, and it is very great conversation.
oh, thank
I
you.
appreciate for your time.
I was more than happy to come. So.
Indeed, yeah. Thank you for watching the show. We'll see you guys next Sunday. If you are one of those truck drivers who is willing to say what they feel and see on the road or anywhere in the trade, please do contact us at info@thetruckstopshow.ca. Write us your phone number and we'll get in touch and bring you on the show.